All right, test 1 2 3. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. And so I'm going to kick things off here. Maksim should be joining soon. When I see him in the chat or I see him on Discord, I will admit him into the room. Here on our new platform that we're using, we don't have Max Balresh, who usually runs the stream today, but hopefully we will get everything done without a hitch. And I will kick things off by showing the data screener here. Lots has been happening, right? The markets have been shaken. Here you go, Maksim. He needs the link to it. It's right here. Markets have definitely been shaken by the fact that two of the most powerful men in the world are feuding. And this is pretty unprecedented, right? Usually the fact that especially Elon, but both of them really have gone public and shared on social media their thoughts about each other and their frustrations. That probably means that things have been going on for quite a while, right? If it gets to this point. So people who think that suddenly, something just happened and now they're going on socials, usually it means that the feud had been brewing for quite a while prior to it. So not that it matters too much, but there is a lot of finger pointing and political stuff that we won't go into on a crypto data platform, but we do know for a fact that it is impacting markets. And I am adding Maxim, who should now be seen.
By the way, Brian, I cannot hear you. I don't know if you can hear me.
You should hear me now, and I can hear you. Yes?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Why I can't hear you?
Maybe something to do with your speakers. Yeah, all the settings look correct. My sound is working on the YouTube, yeah. It's just on your side. I'll keep talking, but just let me know when you can hear me, Maxim, so the viewers can keep watching.
Okay.
So, yes, in short, Trump and Elon are at a very public feud right now, and it's causing havoc in the markets. Obviously, today's looking better. We're at about a little over 104 right now. Down just slightly for the week for Bitcoin. Ethereum down big at about negative 5.3%. Many were hoping to see Ethereum break 3,000 soon, just a week ago, but we have retraced quite a bit, and we'll get into that stopping point that we saw around Sunday and Monday and the turning point. But you can see most assets are down, and they get bigger and bigger in terms of drop percentages as we move along here. Edelcoin, Trump with hat. Good. I'm glad you can hear me, Maxim. How are you? Test.
Microphone to give sound out.
I've added you again. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Now I can.
All right. How are you, brother?
Good.
Yeah, I was just talking a little.
Market almost gave us what we wanted. What we were looking for last week.
Yes.
Bitcoin below 100, but almost. It was still 400 left. Okay, didn't give it. Okay, it was close.
Yeah, we've definitely seen a fair bit of volatility, and the Trump and Elon feud is front and center now and kind of overshadowing everything else. I was talking a little bit about how that can affect the crypto market, but I'd love to hear your take first.
Not directly, of course. Whatever
stock
Trump,
markets,
whatever Trump or Musk are doing or not doing, it's all reflection of undergoing processes. And
correct.
The processes still there are always two processes. One typically leads or supporting for growth. It's when everyone works together, very friendly, collaborative. Yeah, then everything goes up. And another one, it's a reflection or shows you that everything goes down. It's like separating, fighting, protecting my own interest, yeah? Going to the culmination like wars and things like this. Now, when it's on a global scale, and I don't think there is a way out. Generally, it's very bearish situation. Yeah. You cannot imagine temporarily it jumps up and down, yes, or let's say announcement of tariff or removing tariffs, yes, they introduce some impression, yeah, I think it's a wrong impression that you can do trading based on this, but it works until it's not, because the general underlying sentiment is still very bearish. When you see that the biggest nation in the world like want to fight with everyone, I mean, and the best friend is Putin, you start asking questions. Okay, wait a second, where is it going? Yeah, it's not going to peaceful and collaborative world. Yeah. So we should be very careful. It's still looks like sell the rallies, but inside this, let's say, long period of wealth destruction, there are movements in both directions, and this is what we're here analyzing. We're analyzing like more like not necessarily short term. What we try to cover is to mid term, at least weeks. Sometimes, ideally, if we catch a pattern, even months. But if we're talking about years, I don't know how we're going out of the current situation.
Yeah.
Only if it's a hyperinflation or something like this, like a lot of money. So nominal in US or dollars or in euros, things might grow. Or there could be maybe indeed an attempt to flee from this environment into crypto and stocks. We'll see, yeah. So, sorry, you asked simple question. Somehow I answered in a deep way or complex
Yeah,
way.
I love it. I love to hear your thoughts, and I do think that there's a lot of uncertainty about how this is all going to play out. But
Yeah.
you should see on my screen, Maxim,
Yes. Yeah.
the massive spike in Elon Musk. Trump, it's not quite as massive because he's always in the news, but Elon has certainly
Oh, yeah.
propelled himself back in.
So that was, cool. What is the dominance? I don't see on the screen because it's on
Yeah,
our...
I disabled dominance, but it's going to load in just a moment. So you can see
Uh-huh.
the gold and blue. Yeah, at the peak when this first came out yesterday, 5.6% dedicated to Trump, 6.3 to Musk.
Oh, that's significant, yeah.
Yeah.
Typically, anything above 5%, it's very often turnaround. Yeah, very often. Yeah, okay.
Agreed. So clearly this is something people are paying attention to, and interestingly, when they spiked, it actually marked a bottom. It was kind of a sell the rumor, buy the news situation as people panicked and said, oh no, one of the most powerful people in the world, Donald Trump, is feuding with the wealthiest man in the world. That can't be good for markets. So markets panic and they go down, and then they realize, well, Trump is still the president. He's still running the country, and he still is trying to do what's best for the economy and making the S&P 500 go up and reduce taxes and try to cut interest rates. These are all things that should be good for the markets, and now markets bounce. And
the only thing is there's another misinterpretation, confusion, belief that any person in the world have control over upcoming events. No one has. Things in a extreme case we have black swan events when really need to adjust some realities and something totally unexpected happens. But even without it, it's just people can even smart people can do plans and calculations and rationalization, and the reality reacts different. So an attempt to move an economic in the current world situation is so complex. You pull one plug, no one knows how it will. I mean, we know once things start working, and there will be a lot of people smart saying, we knew it, but in advance, no one really knows everything. You can know approximately, maybe half what will happen, but the other half is a surprise for everyone. And trying to keep inflation on bay, uh, pump stock markets, and to don't scare investors and grow manufacturing. I don't know if it's even possible. Yeah. So something out of this, like in like in the blockchain, yeah, it has to be. You have three options here: secure, fast, many transactions, and decentralized. You cannot get three of them. Yeah, you always choose. Here the same. You can address inflation, manufacture in your own country, or I don't know, like price of stock market. Maybe there are more parameters, so you cannot choose all of them. Something will not work. It's just not possible. And yeah. I'm not so efficient, or let's say, I don't know, or I did not reflect on this topic many times enough to say precisely, is it this three or another three? But sometimes it looks to me what he says is like trying to achieve all of them. It's not possible. Something has to be sacrificed. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I definitely agree with your thoughts, Maxim, and it's such a complicated issue. It's difficult to say concisely, but overall, I find it concerning no matter where you are in the world and where you are politically. I know a lot of people are kind of putting out the popcorn meme and saying like, "Oh, this is going to be good. It's juicy. You know, two powerful people fighting. This is what we're waiting for." But
It was so far juicy. Later it will be very painful. Yeah.
exactly. So no matter how you feel about these two men, or you like one and hate the other, you hate both of them, or love both of them. The fact of the matter is, when you have very powerful people who are seeking vengeance on each other and trying to sell to the world that they're the good guy and the other guy's the bad guy, it's a little frightening, right? Especially when
Oh
it's
yeah.
in such a
Oh yeah.
public situation like this. And the thing, even though crypto isn't supposed to be impacted by things like this, the reality is it is, because the sentiment driven crypto sector is just so sensitive to the news. And a lot of people would argue, myself included, we wouldn't have hit this all-time high of 75K back in November without Trump, preaching his pro-crypto stance so heavily. And there's a
Yes.
reason
True.
the night he was elected was the reason we surged so much, and then
Yeah.
continued to surge. And then we got so much FOMO up until the day he's inaugurated, and we hit
Yeah.
109K. That's the newer all-time high. And then the FOMO causes everything to go down. But you can see how sensitive the crypto world is for anything related to Trump specifically. And even before Trump was elected, think about 2023 and 2024 with Dogelon and Elon
Right.
Musk
Right.
talking
Right.
about Dogecoin, right?
Yeah.
He absolutely had an effect on the altcoin market before Trump was even back in office for his second term. So we see how much these two people have, probably more than anyone, impacted crypto markets the past 3 years or so. So this is a big deal, even if we don't want it to be. And that's why we're giving it so much time here.
Yes.
So, yeah, I appreciate your take on that, Maxim. I think it's really fascinating to get your stance. And then the question is, what are some objective metrics we can look at? We already saw Musk versus Trump. Obviously, Powell spoke at the beginning of the week. Jerome Powell, the head of the FOMC, or the head of the Fed, I should say. It's not much compared to when the FOMC events actually happen. The next one, I believe, is June 17th. And we can see how much his mentions have changed the course of crypto's direction over the past year. And then what we can also do is look at some of the calls in terms of bearish versus bullish.
Okay.
And I've got a few more words for bearish compared to bullish. That's by design, because there's always a bit of a bullish bias. If we turn on shared axis, there's actually starting to be a bit of a bearish bias forming.
Okay.
I'll just zoom into the previous week and go by 4 hours here. And you can see that the blue is dominating over the red for most of the past week here. That's a good sign if you're longing right now, because there is quite a bit of fear in the markets at the moment. Not an extreme amount, but enough where it's justifiable to see some bouncing, as we have seen in my morning just over the last 3 to 5 hours, going back above 104K, even though it was down to 101 when I was heading to bed last night, my time. So fear is causing a bit of a bounce. You can see how much it really was at its base here when we got down, and people were really talking about, oh no, we're going back to 5-figure Bitcoin again. And obviously that hasn't happened, at least not yet. So from a social perspective, a decent amount of fear, largely due to this feud between Musk and Trump. You can see the Musk-Epstein feud. That's interesting that Epstein is showing up, because Elon Musk mentioned that Trump is on the Epstein list. We're not a political channel. You guys can make your own thoughts about that. But it is the #1 topic. So people are talking about that. And Musk-Trump beef is #3. The Circle IPO surge at #2 is interesting. Trending due to the high.
I think they did 2x, yeah, unexpected.
Yeah, do you wanna give it a summarization?
No, I cannot. I did not follow up because I'm not trading stocks, but it's all over crypto Twitter or Telegram for these tools that no one expected. Typically, after listing or IPO, everything goes down, but not in this case. Surprise.
Right. It was an incredible day, up over 160% on its first day, reaching highs above 90% from an initial price of 31. Yeah, that's pretty unprecedented. It may happen with meme coins that are newly listed on Binance, but you don't often see that in the traditional stock market. So that was a pretty big deal. So people are talking about that. By the way, this trending stories page, it's in beta. Not everyone has access to it yet, but if you're signed in and you have I believe a paid account, that's how you can see this. Either way, we'll have it live for everyone in the next 1 to 2 weeks. So stay tuned and we'll make a big announcement about that. We're just giving you a sneak preview here.
The warming up.
Exactly. We also see the strategy STRD. It's the Stride Perpetual Preferred Stock. That's a big story as well, led by Michael Saylor. Offering priced at $85 per share and expected to close soon. So that's generated a lot of hype. The Doge market trends has generated a pretty big discussion, especially in relation to meme coins and the ongoing feud between Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Highlighted as a significant token experienced price fluctuations. Let's take a look at that for a moment, actually.
Yeah.
So Dogecoin, obviously the #8 market cap in crypto, #1 in terms of meme coins by a pretty wide margin still. And yeah, the coin's mostly gone down pretty significantly since its peak on May 22nd. It's dropped about 26.5%. So yeah, the utility is down, not much in the way of network growth. There is some justification to add on to your position or open one based on the math, because average returns are so low. They got down as low as -16% for wallets that were active in the past 30 days, still down at -11 now. So that would be a buy zone, assuming you feel comfortable about the way the crypto markets look overall with Bitcoin staying stable. There's also a lot of shorting, which is interesting.
It seems to be like flipping both sides constantly.
Yeah.
Does not look like a reliable signal. It's too much flipping, yeah?
I agree. It's going all over the place. Dogecoin, especially with funding rates, it's such a sentiment-driven coin because it's a meme coin. So this is normal for you to just see extreme shorts, then extreme longs, and back and forth. Not much in the way of whales. That would be a big story if you started to see big whale spikes in the midst of all of this drama with Dogecoin and Elon Musk, but not the case right now. So I would probably wait for that before making a confident bet in either direction. I think it would be too unpredictable. But yeah, I was just curious. It's down pretty significantly over
Actually,
the past couple weeks.
now when I think about it,
Mhm.
if that is true, I mean, if there is no way back for Trump, for Musk, he might come back to Dogecoin. Uh, he might come back, post something, and you know how typically reaction is. It just will be pumped in attempt. So there is something in this thesis. There is something in this thesis. There is something in this thesis. I'm just looking for what could be a trigger on Doge as a Dogecoin. What is a typical social dominance? Just want to see if we come down and no one talking about.
So social dominance for Doge on average, we can just do a 30-day indicator. So smooth moving average, yeah,
Okay.
it's on 1 day. So about 1.5% roughly, maybe 1.4%.
Okay.
But
Can
it's
you
been
select
going
social
down.
volume? Can you select social volume AI as a with Dogecoin specifically? We need to apply a bit more. Okay. So there was the spike. Yeah, you see there was the spike on a last drop.
Right.
Yeah, maybe. I would consider it as a potential setup for bottom when this social volume AI goes down or stay like this few more days or weekend if we see it. No increase, no pump in volume. In discussions, we might be good setup for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was also checking this chart out because this is the mentions of Elon Musk in relation to Dogecoin. And we'll just look at the last week to see if it's spiked at all. Yeah, there is. So you can see right here as we were bottoming out.
A little bit, yeah.
And the other thing is we can look at Dogelon because that is his attributed meme coin that's associated with him. Yeah, not much mentioned at all. But I do see an argument for some Dogecoin pumping if Elon Musk starts to be, you know, the lone wolf that he was back in 2023.
Yeah,
Right?
he just might. He need some place to have success and credibility. If even not a given, he will get one when he
Right.
publish anything. But we'll see.
Yeah, the other
Most
thing
likely.
is I wonder if World Liberty Financial may get impacted by the feud. I don't think so. I didn't prepare the wallet to check it out today. Maybe if I kind of want to look. I can't remember where I posted his wallet or the World Liberty Financial wallet address, but let me see if I can find it really quick. Because that would be a big story in case some coins have been moved. Because I know that Elon Musk had a hand, a likely hand in strategizing how that wallet would be formed. Just in case, Gary or anyone watching in our Discord chat, if you don't mind posting the official wallet, I can look it up. But I don't want to waste too much time finding it right now. But I would be curious to see that. In the meantime, we can also check out how sentiment toward Bitcoin is looking. And I apologize for the coughing, folks. I've had a little bit of a cold this week, but getting better. So the positive versus negative sentiment is pretty neutral right now. It was actually very negative yesterday. I can make this a little more granular. We'll change that to 8 hours. Yeah, that's interesting. So we got very negative right at the bottom. That's predictable. Of course, when things drop and we threaten to go below 100K, big negative bar right here, but
Did we get to
as
negative? Did we get to below zero or not?
below zero, not quite. So the zero line
It
would
doesn't
be
happen so
right
often, yeah.
exactly. Zero would be
But
right
usually it's a good
about
sign, yeah.
here. So
Okay,
we got about here. We've only been below zero a
almost.
couple times, maybe a little higher, about right
Someone is
here.
using our metrics for front running it now. It doesn't let it to
Yeah,
go to zero.
exactly. But
No, I'm
now,
teasing. I'm
because we've
teasing.
rebounded, we're
Yeah.
actually seeing a pretty big positive spike, and you can see what
Actually, yeah.
happens when we
Now it's
get
other way around, yeah. Too much.
exactly. So when we get above, right around here, these are the danger zones. So there does look to be a little too much euphoria right now, and optimism as prices have rebounded. It's Friday. People are used to seeing rallies on at the end of the week like this. So people are in a good mood and optimistic that they bought the dip well here. And that's a bad sign because there's not quite enough fear to justify that we can keep going back up to
Or let's
107
say
anyway.
other way around, there are too many positively exposed people, and sometimes I like to say the market main task of market is to punish you for all the time.
Exactly.
You are too positive, get punished. You're too
Yep.
negative, okay, you feel pain too. And markets in general is always a task of market not to make us rich. It's to impact as much as possible, at least emotional pain. Yeah, if we're smart enough, we can manage our financial risk, but emotional pain is inevitable. If you don't have emotional pain, you just get excited. We are doing something wrong with investing. You definitely end up with zero in the bank
Yep.
account. So, but if you feel pain, yeah, or you forgot, you could not buy, or like you're holding, it's very stressful, yeah, or you sold and it's still climbing up a little bit, then you're on the right way, yeah. At least you are doing right things. You feel pain, but hopefully, financial part of this game will get increased. So this is one. Might
Exactly.
get punished. Might get punished. Yeah. There is a
Yeah.
difference, yeah.
I think a lot of people, when they trade, they are assuming that they're predicting the future when they buy, right? And when they sell. But
Yeah,
the
yeah,
reality
yeah,
is
it's normal. Yeah,
they're
yeah,
they're creating the future. It's a little bit different because
yeah. Oh yeah.
they're when they're leaning a certain way, they're likely going with what other people are thinking too. And the crowd is constantly going overly fearful or overly euphoric.
Yeah.
And it isn't just, you buy on this date because, fate has it that crypto is going to be at this price down the road. It's whales are constantly paying attention to what retailers are doing in real time and then doing the opposite.
Somewhere else.
Some whales, not all, right? But
Yeah. Some other whales also not much smarter. Just
it's true. They just have more money, so more influence. Yeah.
example of this hyper liquid guy. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, it's. But if we look into glad you came here. I was wondering. I did not have it. I think even yesterday because our team talk was preparing everything. Then didn't have desire to check charts anymore. And today too. I remember there were some increase in small wallets holding, and we discussed internally.
Yeah.
We know that usually it's not a very good sign. Yeah.
Yeah. It's actually looked pretty good. We were on a pretty big run between May 26th all the way up until the 3rd. And
Yeah.
then we started to finally see the key stakeholders take some profit. But
Yeah.
they accumulated just about 100,000 Bitcoin, the 10 to 10K BTC wallets.
And small
Just
wallets. I'm
yeah.
talking literally everything up to one.
So up to one.
As I remember, there was a very long time they did not show any activity. We say, okay, it means the one of the highest risk sign is not there yet. And now I
Right.
think, okay, now we were getting it. Yeah.
Yeah, since May 22nd, the
Okay.
up to one wallets are accumulating. They've added about 3268 BTC, which is a lot for them.
Okay. Okay.
So they're becoming very confident and pretty aggressively buying the dip, which is not a good sign.
Not a good sign.
We want to see the small fish, the retailers that don't have as much capital, dropping their BTC over time. And right now they're accumulating along with the key stakeholders, while the very large wallets, the exchanges, are actually dropping a little bit. So that's quite interesting to see.
Yeah.
I would be a little concerned just about these last couple days too for the 10 to 10K line here. They have dumped about 16,668 BTC. So there are some signs we could fall below 100K for the first time in quite a while, but it doesn't, it might be short-lived. So I do want to check out the MVRV really quick for BTC, and then we'll look at a few other metrics while we're here. Oh, mean dollar invested age I want to check out too. Where's my MVRV? Here we go. So the 30-day MVRV, we see it is negative right now at about negative 0.96%. So there is justification to buy at a very slight decreased risk compared to normal. Long term, though, is still at plus 16%. So there's some signs that we are still a little bit overheated. If you really want to wait it out and risk, potentially missing a rally, you could wait until both lines are below 0%, which is usually the ideal time to buy, as we saw back here in early April when the tariff fears were at their highest. And then mean dollar invested age, Maxim.
Yeah. Didn't look into it too long time.
Yeah, so at the beginning of June,
because of Bitfinex moving all coins, yeah.
Exactly. So we had huge movements, and I talked about this yesterday in a post about the largest transactions. There were some massive Bitfinex moves, and that caused the mean dollar invested age to really drop aggressively. So this is a decent sign that we are still seeing a healthy amount of dormant movement, even though I think this latest drop is a bit misleading because it was due to Bitfinex making some transfers. So for those who don't know this metric, it generally, when you see the dormant coins moving at a healthy rate back into circulation, it's a sign that we can maintain a bullish trajectory from like a long-term perspective. So if you see the prices still moving up over the long term, like we have over the last couple of months, this would be justification that all of this volatility is just a bump in the road and we can continue to go up. However, this has to be taken with a grain of salt due to the fact that it was due to some exchange movements and not some organic whales moving coins back into circulation. Still a good sign though. Also, a huge network realized profit spike happened on Monday, Maxim. It did kind of happen as prices were correcting, though. I'm curious what you would think about something like this.
No, yeah, it's good. I mean, if even we remove this Bitfinex, these movements are quite healthy. Yeah? So this bump up recovery is justified. Yeah. Now the question, once we are back to whatever was the current price, 103, 104?
104, yeah.
Yeah. So assuming we stay there now for some time, 103, 104. So will more people be tempted or feeling worries and be tempted to take profits? We'll see these bumps. If it just over weekend disappears, okay, expect Monday dump. The pattern lately was going to weekend, collect or liquidate players on both sides, but generally growing on Monday. Yeah? Or growing already Sunday evening, expecting Trump saying something positive or taking back words. We might change the pattern if, and this is now when we talk, I'm reflecting, if today, tomorrow, day to tomorrow, like on 3 days, we will not see this big network realized profit loss, which will show that there is no much worries in the market, and the market saying, okay, whatever, it's just temporarily dump, now we can continue higher. So it's actually very now key metric to observe. One of the key metrics. The others, of course, what narrative will emerge. But if we're talking about on-chain, now we just look at this. Yeah. What is your selection now? 6 months or 3 months? Or?
This is the past 3 months,
Okay, good.
and
No, that's good
each
because
candle
it
is
shows
3
a kind
hours.
of level you would expect, yeah. And the last 3 months, the spikes were on, we know it were on a quite healthy level. So if we get there, what you see there in April, in May, good. If we don't get there, not good.
Yeah, that makes sense. We've also continued to see coins moving off of exchanges.
Yeah, well, that was this bigger spike is of course Bitfinex, yeah.
Exactly. So they moved a lot of coins off of exchanges.
Yeah.
Take the numbers with a grain of salt, but the direction is accurate for those who ask about our supply and exchange metric. So um, we are still moving down, and that means less risk overall for future sell-offs from a very long-term perspective.
Yeah.
Bitcoin itself is getting pretty average social volume and dominance. You can see during the all-time high, that's when everyone was celebrating it and giving it a lot of attention, and it's calmed back down for now. RSI looks normal. Total holders has been growing pretty rapidly over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Since May
Also not the best
26th.
sign. It should slow down.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So there have been 270,000 more BTC wallets since May 26th, the past week and a half or so. So there is a little bit of a FOMO sign there. I also wanted to point out this insight I put out. This was a post I put out yesterday about the Bitfinex transfers, all on June 1st and 2nd. It was the largest day of the year in terms of transaction volume in USD, over $44 billion worth. So that was pretty significant. And I wanted to mention this, which was the spike in network growth and spike in circulation that happened. This was before the Bitfinex moves, and this circulation spike kind of correlated with the Bitfinex moves. But this kind of goes hand in hand with the total holders, Maxim, because when you see a high amount of network growth, that's undoubtedly going to boost up the amount of wallets that have coins in them. And this was actually the largest in, if I'm doing the math, about a year and a half. So that's a very big spike and pretty notable. It happened during a dip too. So a lot of people were opening new wallets, anticipating that we would see a big rally here, and it was a perfect time to buy the dip. But so far, they're kind of break even based on when they bought, or many of them are actually down a little bit.
Yeah.
So I find that fascinating. Here we can look at some social narratives. And I also want to look at the
Update
ETF.
the page here.
Yep, I refreshed. I did a hard refresh. I'm going to do it again just to make sure I'm not missing anything.
Right. Because we're changing internal process, it might be that it didn't work yet
Okay. Okay, so we'll stay off that page for now.
for this week. Yeah.
And then ETF flows. This is something to keep an eye on because we've started to see quite a few outflow days. These are all delayed by 1 day. So this was May 29th, May 30th, and June 2nd, because the 31st and 1st were weekend days. So these three were huge outflow days, the biggest outflow we had seen over a 3-day span since early March, also comparable to the early part of January. So we saw an inflow day, a very minor inflow day, and then another outflow day yesterday. This is actually June 5th, even though it's showing June 4th. So lots of money actually moving out of ETFs. Not the best sign because we have seen that ETF inflows and outflows correlate pretty well with the price. You can see when the price momentum is going up, it's supported by a lot of inflows. When prices are going down, it's supported by a lot of outflows typically. So we'll need to see this turn around quickly, or it could be a sign that a lot of big players, especially ones that hold both on-chain and on ETFs, might be exiting or reducing their positions because they want to take a pause on crypto, or they expect crypto to retrace a bit more. So Keep an eye on that. This dashboard is free for everyone to use at any time. You can also, see by specific ETFs. IBITS had a couple of rebound days, but this was a massive day of May 30th, $431 million worth of outflows going on. So lots of individual stories within this dashboard that I think are worth looking into. In terms of trending coins, I've been noticing Solana is doing another.
Yeah, a lot. Really a lot of talks, yeah.
But I still think it's a lot of bot driven stuff because I see some of the posts and they're like very generic. So I don't know, how much of it is real. Either way, Solana just has a huge lead on everything else right now in terms of discussion rises. So take that for what you will. It looks like there's a lot of discussions related to swapping Solana with other cryptocurrencies, staking for returns, usage on platforms like Binance and Chainflip, and its role in network fees, bridging, and privacy solutions. Upcoming upgrades like Firedancer Validator. So Solana is at the top, and it has been pretty much all week long by a wide margin like this. So I find that interesting. Dogecoin right behind it. We talked about that at the beginning. Events like the DOGE party linked to Elon Musk. For those who didn't see, he's suggesting a third political party to rival the Republicans and Democrats. I think most would find it hilarious. I'll use that word to describe DOGE party suddenly being a real political party in the U.S. Bitcoin at number 3, Strategy Stride at number 4. So a lot of discussion still about MicroStrategy and Michael Saylor's fascinating continued accumulation of Bitcoin over time. You can see USD Coin and its association with Circle and that huge 160% surge after its IPO. Polkadot in the top 10, not a coin I have seen trending in quite a while. It's referring to price speculation, treasury management, staking rewards, ETF filings, and many other things related to DOT. We see Shiba Inu here, also one of the top meme coins in crypto. The coin, by the way, has been dropping mostly, so I'm interested to see if there's a lot of negative sentiment toward it right now. Let's do a quick check.
How do you check the color of the sentiment?
Yeah, I usually just use this template here.
Okay, yeah, it's good.
And then I toggle it to Shiba Inu, so it shows us a direct ratio. Yeah, it's not really showing much. It's mostly negative at the moment. A little bit of a spike here on June 4th, but the last time we saw a lot of positive sentiment was about a week ago. Yeah, so you want to avoid these huge spikes that happen during the big price pumps. And even right here, you can see people were anxious to buy the dip, and that's usually a bad sign. You want people to be fearful of dips and assume that it's going down more. And right now, there isn't much discussion or euphoria over it, which is a good sign that we could actually bounce. So it looks like it's trending due to a lot of FUD, which is actually a decent argument that it can rebound, assuming Bitcoin itself and everything else stays stable right now in this tumultuous moment we're having. Tether at number 8. Discussions highlight Tether's influence in supporting Bitcoin, its strategic investments in blockchain solutions in Africa, its financial mechanisms such as backing by short-term treasuries, expansion efforts, including investments in African fintech startups. We have Raven at number 9, another coin I have not seen trending in quite some time. It was kind of a 2018, 2019 trending coin that got a lot of love back then. But it still exists, and it's highlighted as a top gainer on exchanges like KuCoin, featured in announcements about new listings. So yeah, this is one of those candidates where you might want to be careful because it's trending due to a huge pump that it had recently. And then Ethereum is also trending, I think, due to negative reasons, because it's starting to retrace after a very strong past month or so. And we can check on the same chart we just looked at for Shiba Inu to see the positive versus negative sentiment. And it looks pretty neutral right now. I don't see anything standing out. Big euphoria spike here. It dropped right after, and we've been kind of in the middle ever since. All right. We can look at a few other things. I wanted to check out the whale deposit radar.
Oh yeah. Oh, didn't check it long time. Yeah.
Yeah, I made an update earlier this week. While this is refreshing, I can show you what we made as an update. I think it was Monday or Tuesday I updated.
Too many updates.
Too many updates. I know it was here. Here it is, yeah. So this was actually just 2 days ago, Wednesday. Man, time is flying or not moving. I'm never right with my timing. But you can see PayPal USD had a huge move. Bless you, Maxim.
Yep.
SSV, big move, threshold. Another SSV move, Immutable X. These were some of the major coin movements that saw more than 0.5%, or sometimes even more than 1.5% of its entire market cap moving to exchanges. And that's usually not a great sign. If we just take one, for example, like Threshold, because PayPal USD is a stable coin, so that won't work.
Yeah.
But if we look at Threshold and we check out what happened after a bunch of coins moved on Wednesday, I'll even add active deposits and deposit transactions here. We'll just look at the last week. So these were all the big spikes that correlated with what you saw on the whale dashboard. And what do you know? The price topped on Wednesday. And markets continued to move down and down and down since this spike right here to the
Can you show the price of threshold in BTC? Because we need to take into account Bitcoin volatility. Yeah?
Sure.
If it was even stronger, yeah. Yeah.
So from the price versus Bitcoin, it dropped about 10.5%. It's actually more aggressive. Just as a raw price, it dropped about a little over 14%. But either way, this was a foreshadow that Threshold probably was going to see a little bit of pain. So I think the whale deposit tracker did a great job right there. And now we can take a current look to see what some of the biggest moves have been over the past 24 hours. And it looks like we have mostly small altcoins. Space and Time, Aether.
Oh, Pendle, not bad. That's
Pendle's a pretty legitimate one.
1.2 million. That's a big one, yeah.
Yeah, only about 0.2%. So not as big as the update I made on Wednesday.
Still,
yeah, these are significant. Pepe up here, about 0.1% of its entire market cap, $4.3 million. You can see a $16.6 million wrapped Bitcoin move as prices were moving down yesterday. So there's a lot of valuable information you can gather from looking at this. I really enjoy it, especially if you're into altcoins. You can just find the largest, market cap moves, or you can even search by specific altcoins if you'd like, right here using this drop down. So lots of cool things you can find, and this is free for everyone to use. Even if you're not signed in, you can check it out. We're coming up close to the hour. I just want to see if we have any questions.
Where do you see them? If you open
I'm just looking on YouTube.
stream, yeah. Okay.
David, one of our staff members, asks about the pattern behind small wallets accumulating. Would there be any benefit to filtering out the exchange addresses from that metric? So if we open up the large versus small wallets again, I'll just open up that template that I had. So we have the 10 to 10K line here, and then I'll re-add 0 to 1. And David's question, Maxim, is what's the logic behind using small wallet accumulation as a counter indicator?
Yeah, because we assume small traders, they actually a very interesting pattern. Either they look to get a lot of money, yeah. So it can be they playing around with meme coins or with other coins. It's one part of the game where we track them, but on Bitcoin they get convinced around the tops. Sometimes leading to the tops, or when we start declining from tops, they get feeling, and we saw it in the previous years quite often, I think every single time, they start buying the dips. Yeah, it's okay. It's widespread. It's discussed among all channels, all groups. DCA buying the dips. This is one of the most discussed topics, and this is what you see when they're not only talking but doing. And by buying the dips, we'll say, okay, now it's so cool, finally, 103 or whatever price was 104. We're going to 150, right? So you get confirmation that the market, retail market, mass market, crowd sentiment is very positive. So this is only visualization of very positive crowd sentiment.
Yeah, I think you summed it up well, Maxim, and I'll just add to that. It goes back to our company thesis of markets always move the opposite direction of the crowd's expectation. And the crowd is represented by this line. It's not represented by the key whales and sharks. It's the little guys, the people with very little at stake. And I know that, 0.1 to 1 is actually a pretty decent amount of money these days, but generally this whole line is represented by retailers that are kind of the mainstream, that think in unison one way or the other, and are pumping up bags for whales to sell or dropping their bags for whales to buy. So if this is the indicator to follow, if this is the smart money, then this is the antithesis to that smart money, the dumb money that's kind of progressively losing money to them over time. So that's why we use it as a counter, and why it's best to buy when the retail traders are dumping and sell when the retail traders are accumulating like this.
Yes.
Any other topics you may want to go over on this call, Maxim? I'm trying to think if there's anything
fine.
else.
I mean, it's for me. Thanks for you talking to you. I get some clarity or some overview what I will look into, and I will look into network realized profit loss over weekend. We'll see if some activities will appear there. Thanks for reminding about deposits. It will be interesting to see, is it still single cases, or the moment we see massive deposit across many protocols, actually it's a good sign for the bottom. With or without DeFi liquidations, but when you see massively people depositing to exchanges, it means they're panicking. Also, I will look into it.
Yeah. I'm just checking X really quick, and you can see there's a bunch of calls going on about the Trump and Musk feud, and BTC plummets in all caps. Like, this is a sign of panic. So I wouldn't be surprised if today we see a little bit of a relief rally going into the weekend. Not a major one, because S&P isn't really that high. But yeah, it does look like people in the crypto world are kind of terrified, because Trump and Musk are both big proponents of crypto, and when they're fighting and mad at each other, it's not the best sign that the speculative driven sector like crypto can just thrive when two of the most powerful people in the world are at odds.
Yeah.
So keep an eye on that. We'll keep you posted. I'll have some insights up today. And yeah, thanks for coming on, Maksim. Always great to hear your thoughts, and wishing you the happiest of weekends.
Yeah, same to you. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, my friend.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody, for watching, whether it's on replay or live, and we will see you guys next time.
Yeah. See you, everyone. Bye-bye.